So, Thor,
Yes.
when you told me that you wanted to review the most recent superhero horror movie that we had seen, I got really excited.
Okay.
And guess what? I came prepared.
Uh-oh. This scares me.
So, here I have a copy of Man of Steel, the 2013 Superman movie directed by Zack Snyder, and this was a pretty horrific movie, I'm not gonna lie. Just how violent and angry they made Superman. Like that scene where he levels half of Smallville, like when he deliberately throws like the bad guys into like a tanker and into a 7-Eleven, that just sent chills down my spine.
The 7-Eleven, definitely.
Yeah, the 7-Eleven. That was probably the scariest part of the movie. What? Oh wait, so okay, I'm sorry. This was not the superhero horror movie she wanted to talk about. It was actually this one.
Oh God. I don't know.
Batman v Superman.
Okay, that wasn't the right one either.
Is this the one with Ben Affleck's penis, or was that Gone Girl?
Oh God. Pretty horrific. With Jesse playing Lex Luthor.
Yes, you're right. I would say that you definitely burned Jesse Eisenberg with that joke. It was a very bright burn.
Oh God.
Hello, boils and ghouls. Welcome back to Round the Clock Frights. I am Josh.
I'm Thor.
In all seriousness, thank you so much for joining us. And today, we are here to talk about the James Gunn-produced Brightburn.
Yeah.
Now, let me talk a little bit about how I discovered this movie. It was actually on James Gunn's Facebook. I used to follow him quite a bit, and he actually made an announcement when he was at last year's San Diego Comic-Con that he was going to be doing a panel for this original film that he had been working on. And I had no idea what it was going to be. I just saw the announcement. Unfortunately, they had to cancel the panel because Disney got a little upset at him. But anyway, how did you find out about Brightburn?
I found out about Brightburn when I started hearing, again, James Gunn coming out and doing a retooling of the Superman mythos, and just kind of asking that what-if question that kind of starts off almost all horror or sci-fi movies.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
I know we made fun of Man of Steel in the intro, but do you think with this movie...
Go ahead.
Do you think with this movie they kind of wanted to respond to Man of Steel a little bit? Because there were a lot of points that felt verbatim from Man of Steel, like just some of the shot setups and even some of the dialogue. It felt word for word from Man of Steel. Like some of the speeches that Kevin Costner gave in Man of Steel, Elizabeth Banks makes in this movie. Did you get that vibe?
I didn't get necessarily the vibe about answering Man of Steel. I got the vibe that they were answering just the whole Superman mythos, the whole Superman origin story, because if you've watched Man of Steel, any of the original Superman movies with Christopher Reeve, if you've watched Smallville, if you've watched...
Oh, Smallville was great.
Even if you go back and you watch the old serials with George Reeves as Superman, you're still hearing the same thing about his upbringing. We love you, you know, you're our son no matter where you came from. Just having that really kind of solid family support at the beginning of a story. Now, obviously, Brightburn completely switches that up, but I think it was more going after the entire Superman thing rather than just one movie.
Yeah, Brightburn as a character, he's not very heroic. He's definitely no Henry Cavill. He's actually more appealing than Henry Cavill ever was as Superman.
Okay, dude. I just have to say, Henry he can be pretty appealing. He's a pretty hot guy.
When he takes his shirt off, yes, and he shows off those washboard abs, he can be pretty appealing. But I do think it's a bit ironic if this movie was made as kind of a response to Man of Steel that James Gunn produced it, because as you know, James Gunn has been recruited to direct a movie in the DC universe, which is the next Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting to see what he does with that world.
It will be. I'm really hoping that he brings back some of the original actors from Suicide Squad. I really loved Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn.
I liked Will Smith. I know that may not be the most popular thing, but I really liked him.
Will Smith was in a really great horror movie this weekend. It was the live-action remake of Aladdin. It was very,
oh my gosh,
very scary.
Okay, you know what? The live-action remake of Aladdin two things. One, not that bad, and two, not the focus of the video.
Very true. All right, well, let's go into the general plot of the movie. I'll let you explain what the storyline is.
Okay, so Brightburn is basically the story of what if Superman wasn't the hero that we all know him as? What could possibly happen to a child that's given this immense amount of power and no responsibility for the consequences that eventuate from his actions with this power? It starts off with a couple, obviously trying to have the baby, and let's just say little Brandon starts off as a cockblock from the very first second.
But real quick, if we can talk about this opening scene. By the way, we'll probably be going into some spoilers in this video, so just a heads up, spoilers, because we want to analyze.
Absolutely.
We want to analyze this movie to death. So this opening scene, honestly, I think it could have been omitted. I mean, it had some good exposition. Basically, the first shot is of these different pregnancy books. These books about fertility or infertility. So from the get-go, you understand that this couple has been trying to produce a child with no luck.
Yes.
And then a spaceship crashes outside their farm, and it cuts to...
basically the credits?
It cuts to basically the opening credits, where you see baby footage of this little boy, which, by the way, did you think that was actual baby footage of the young actor Jackson Dunn? Because...
I don't know.
It'd be interesting if they just took actual footage from his childhood and just had Elizabeth Banks and David Denman record lines over
Whether it was or not, I'm glad what they did not do is that they didn't extend it, watch them go out into the woods, pick up the baby, oh, it's a baby, we need to keep them safe. They didn't do any of that stuff. They skipped right to it. So they gave us a really good, I kind of like that intro because it gave us a good exposition and it gave us a good idea of what was going on if we were going into this blind. A lot of people weren't.
I think for me, it would have been better if we had gone in blind. If it was more, if the plot was more of a mystery, if we find out little by little that, hey, this kid is not from this planet, obviously, and then we discover, oh, they've been hiding a spaceship inside this barn. Oh shit. But it just, right from the get-go, they tell you in the first couple minutes that this kid is from outer space, and it doesn't really leave much to the imagination. I guess that's where I'm getting at. We also discover later on that these parents have been trying to have a child, so I just didn't think it was necessary.
Well, they needed to kind of tell that because in the movie, back to the plot, we flash forward 10 years. He's a quiet but seems to be very sweet little boy, very intelligent. They talk later on in the movie about how he tested in the top 10th of a percentile. So he's genius caliber when it comes to smarts. He's a bit of a science nerd. After my own heart, when he started talking about the differences between bees and wasps, I was like, yeah, you go, kid.
Well, you do love your science nerds. She did say once that out of all the Avengers, the one that she has the biggest crush on is Mark Ruffalo. Not Chris Evans, not Chris Hemsworth, but
okay,
Mark Ruffalo,
I never said that.
The science nerd.
I never said that.
I think you want to get under Mark's ruffles.
No.
You totally said that.
Totally didn't.
Yes,
that
you
does
did.
not sound like me.
Anyway, back to the scene where young Brandon is in the classroom. When they showed that footage of the bees, I swear to God, all I could think about was Nicolas Cage and The Wicker Man. Oh, not the bees!
Oh,
not the bees! Ah!
Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah!
But like you were saying, they set up how...
We see this very, very sweet,
Yes.
nice, intelligent,
Yes.
shy little boy who loves his father, loves his mother,
Mhm.
and seems to be just this really nice kid.
Yeah.
That, you have the jerks that pick on him, but even the girl that later on ends up on the wrong side of his anger, she even turns around and says, hey, don't worry about it. Those guys are jerks. Smart guys rule the world.
Yeah, the movie does a good job of developing him as a character. We see that he's a bit of a genius. He's a bit of an outcast.
Yeah.
Which leads to some bullying, which of course leads to...
See, the thing is that the switch comes when that ship activates,
Mm-hmm.
and he starts hearing it in his sleep, and he starts sleepwalking.
Were you disappointed by that? Because they made it seem as if the reason he suddenly turns evil is because of the ship.
They made it seem like the reason why he turned evil was because of, one, the ship, the voices and stuff like that. And he was scared. And he was freaked out at the beginning with all this stuff happening to him.
Mm-hmm.
He, the scene where he's chewing the fork, he is terrified of himself.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then he keeps hearing those voices telling him to take the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the bullying, it tries to lay the culpability on more of those two things rather than the idea that absolute power corrupts.
Apart from the spaceship, I do wish they had gone more into what affects him in the real world. Because we do see him getting bullied a little bit. There's a scene where he's getting picked on by these kids during gym class.
But that was after he started acting creepy.
That was after he started acting creepy. But for me personally, I could have used a little bit more build-up. Could have seen, him getting negatively affected by his environment. They had a couple of sequences, but for me, I could have used a little bit more of that.
A guy being told, "What are you, a nerd?" type of thing in class. That's not, and I know I've heard a lot of reviews where people have been like, well, he was bullied and that's why he went. That's not the worst that a kid could do. Mm-hmm. He got, from what we saw, he got kids kind of verbally teasing him. Mm-hmm. When he did stuff that, to be honest, nowadays, you get verbally teased over.
Yeah.
And he had one girl, after he had already gone into her room and scared the hell out of her, he had one girl that just did not want to be around him.
Right. And the third act basically turns into a slasher movie.
With him hunting down and killing anybody that stands in his way.
Which I thought was really cool. A superhero slasher movie. And let's talk about what they were able to accomplish with the budget, because the budget of this movie, how much would you guess it was?
Not because of the work. The work was quality.
Yeah.
But honestly, I saw it more rooted.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the times when you have something that rooted, where there's more practical usage as far as practical effects, practical shots, things like that.
Right.
You usually don't get that whole, it's this huge CGI movie. So I'm going to say probably no more than $10 million.
$7 million.
Yes.
If you hadn't told me that, though,
I wouldn't have known.
I would have guessed it was much bigger, because they use every penny of their budget extremely well. The death scenes in this are amazing. I'm just going to say...
Oh my gosh. The uncle?
The uncle played by Matt Jones. It's a very jaw-dropping scene where essentially he literally, his jaw
drops.
His jaw gets disconnected from his face. So you have this amazing practical shot where...
Oh my gosh, it was beautiful.
This amazing practical shot where his jaw is just dangling, and it was
beautiful.
Incredibly uncomfortable to look at. I mean, we loved it as horror fans, but for general audiences, I can imagine it being pretty cringeworthy.
Especially since the anatomy was there.
Yeah.
You could see the tongue and the muscle. Somebody definitely made sure that they had the idea of what they wanted, and they didn't skimp on it. They didn't pull back from it.
They didn't. I appreciate they went all out there, especially in this day and age where some horror movies are afraid to show the gore effects. I'm glad that this movie went there. And let me just say this: I was looking for the CGI, and as far as I could tell, it was mostly practical. But I'm going to talk briefly about my favorite death scene in the movie, which was showcased in the trailers. It's the death of the waitress. So basically, setup.
Oh yeah.
You have this young girl who young Brandon has had a crush on. He ends up breaking her hand because she gets creeped out by him, and understandably so.
Totally
the
justified.
mom gets really pissed off at him, and saying that he should be arrested, he should be thrown in jail for injuring her daughter. And this makes Brandon a little upset. So what does he do? He goes to an abandoned diner in the middle of the night where she is the only soul in the room. Okay.
One sec, you're skipping a little bit.
Okay.
Because at first he tries to go to the girl to apologize because he's
Oh,
still
that's
crushing on her.
That's right.
So he brings her, he flies into her room, which again, guys, sneaking into a girl's room when she doesn't want you there, don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And he brings her flowers. It's supposed to show that he is, even with all of these evil thoughts flooding his brain, that maybe the real Brandon is still there. So he gives her flowers, and the girl says, my mom told me not to talk to you, and he tells her, I'm going to take care of that.
You just made me think of something. How often in a slasher movie do we see the slasher try to warn their victims first before they actually do anything bad? That was actually pretty unique.
It was.
I didn't think about that until this moment right now. But anyway.
Go ahead.
So the scene with the waitress. You have this abandoned diner. Of course, it's in the middle of the night. This angry mom is the only soul present. You see the windows fog up. You see Brandon's signature. And then, what was undeniably the most unbearable scene in the movie. The lights start to flicker. One of the bulbs shatters. Some glass gets in her eyeball. And we get this painful close-up of her just slowly taking the shard of glass out of her eyeball.
And she blinked?
Oh yeah, and then not only that, but she moves her eyeball up and down and the glass moves along with it.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
They really did a good job with the practical effects in this thing.
Yeah. But anyway, that was my favorite kill scene in the movie. $7 million budget, very impressive.
Very
Let's
impressive.
Let's move on to the ending.
At the end, he ends up with his dad taking him out into the woods. Mm-hmm. His mom, she kind of knows, but she doesn't want to believe that her son is turning into this monster. They have these arguments. You see all this tension that really kind of brings in that whole "who am I" thing with an adopted child.
Right.
Then dad takes him out saying, you know what, I'm just going to be his dad. We're just going to go out. We'll rebond. It's okay. We'll take care of it. And he's taking his son out to kill him. He takes him out into the woods. They're tracking a deer. He takes out his rifle, shoots him in the head. However, as you already know, Superman is bulletproof. Mm-hmm. And then he kills his dad. His mom is going through the house. She finds evidence that he has gone through and he's turned into this monster. She tries to call her husband. Her son answers, and he's flying above the house, and that's where you see the scenes from the trailer where he's just flying and wrecking everything.
This house.
I have to say one of my favorite death scenes was actually when he slammed into the sheriff and all over the yard.
Sheriff's body just explodes. Okay, actually, hold on real quick before we get to the very end of the movie.
Okay, go ahead.
You brought something up that I did want to touch upon.
Okay.
So Elizabeth Banks' character is in denial. And actually, I wanted to talk about this, especially with you, because some people are going to be annoyed with her character in this movie. Very annoyed, because she's in denial about her son doing these awful things. But you have to understand, as a parent, especially one who has been desperate to have a child of their own, you don't want to accept the fact that they've been doing these terrible things. You still want to hold out hope. And that's what the movie does so well. This theme of parenthood. You totally understand Elizabeth Banks' desperation, which I know might frustrate some viewers, but I felt her pain.
I totally did too, and I agree with you on that one. Elizabeth Banks really knocked it out of the park with this movie.
Yeah.
Not only that, it's not just parents that have waited and hoped and wanted this child for so long. It's all parents. Parents do not want to necessarily look at their child and say, my child is not who I have raised them or taught them to be. Mm-hmm. And it's a very hard thing for a parent to go through.
It really is. Some people are just going to look at it, they're just going to look at the surface though.
Yeah.
You have this character who is refusing to believe that her son is doing these awful things, even though the evidence is piling up. But I understood why.
It all comes to a line in the movie that Elizabeth Banks nailed. Like, you wanted to cheer for her,
Which one was
even
that?
though you knew what her son was becoming. When the waitress is in the office with the principal and her daughter
earlier in the movie,
and she's like, do you even know who his real mother is? And she looks dead at this lady and goes, I'm his real mother. Mm-hmm. No, that's not what I mean. What psycho gave birth to him? I know what you meant. I know you're scared. I know you're upset. But you're not taking it out on a 13-year-old kid. You're not taking it out on my son.
Just this stone cold delivery from Elizabeth Banks. She was amazing. She was amazing in this movie.
And then she's like, I'm sorry for your daughter I'm sorry for what happened to your daughter. And she just walks out. When she tells her son, there is nothing you can do that will make me stop loving you.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing you can do to make you not be my child.
Mm-hmm.
You believe her. And she believes it completely all the way through.
You do. Elizabeth Banks,
Yeah.
Amazing. So, if you don't mind,
Go ahead.
I'm going to talk about how the ending subverted my expectations a little bit.
I saw it coming.
Okay, well, they set up earlier in the movie that he can be hurt by the metal on this spaceship, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like his kryptonite. It's the only thing that can hurt him. So at the end of the movie, after he's destroyed Elizabeth Banks' house, she goes into the barn, she tears off a piece of metal from the ship, and she gets ready to stab him. I thought this was how it was going to end, with her having to make the noble choice of killing off her child. But no. In truly spectacular fashion, he stops her from stabbing him. He lifts her up, flies high above the clouds, lets her fall to her death, and then what does he do next? He crashes this airplane, so it makes it looks as if this whole thing was just a horrific accident, even though he was the only survivor. That's kind of suspicious. But I loved the ending because it took what I was expecting and it just flipped it on its side. I loved it.
I wasn't expecting the plane crash as his get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
But I was expecting the death of the mother.
You were expecting that? Really?
Well, I told you before we went and saw it that I was expecting everybody to die.
I was not expecting that.
And the reason why is because Superman has always been about his parents.
Right.
That is she's his last link to any kind of humanity. So there were two reasons why he did that. A couple of reasons. One, the betrayal.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody betrayed him or tried to make him face what he was doing, he acted like a 2-year-old and threw a fit. Only his fits killed people. And then, so she's holding him accountable.
Yeah.
And he reacts. The second thing is that she's his last link to anything human inside of him. And if he's going to take the world, he can't have that. Mm-hmm. And I think the last little bit is that somewhere maybe deep down inside of him, he was hoping that when he let her go, she would fly. Because he's still...
Is that what you got
feeling.
That's
just a feeling.
That's interesting.
Okay, so just go with me here.
Okay.
She's been the one that stood by him.
Yeah.
She's been everything to him. Mm-hmm. When it comes to parenting, he rejected the father earlier in the movie. You're not my real father kind of thing. Mm-hmm. His mom was always real to him.
Yeah.
He was hoping. I get just one of the look on his face when he let her go was so full of sorrow that it's like he's got this little part of him going, just please let her be actually my mom. And when because he was making that choice between his alien heritage and his human upbringing. If he let her go and she flew, then he didn't have to make that choice. When he let her go, he was letting it all go.
It was his final transformation into becoming a supervillain. Briefly, this does have, I'm not really going to call it a mid-credit sequence, but it has a great setup for a dark universe, which by the way, this would be a better dark universe
than The Mummy.
Than Tom Cruise's The Mummy.
Yes.
But anyway, so they do this amazing thing where you have Michael Rooker. Yes, Michael Rooker. He has like this YouTube channel where he's talking about these other evil beings that have popped up all over the world. You have
half man, half fish seeking tankers in the China Seas.
And then you have this witch woman who has this noose that she uses to kill people with. A little bit
There was a picture of a man bat.
Yeah. So yeah, evil Aquaman, evil Wonder Woman, evil
Wonder Man.
Shut up. Evil Superman. Bring it on. I think evil Aquaman would probably be called Oilburn.
No.
Brightburn, Oilburn.
No.
No.
No. I don't think so.
I like it. So anyway, overall, I really like this movie.
I'd give it 8 out of 10, especially for the amount of the writing was on point,
Mm-hmm.
the acting was on point. Everybody carried their weight. They were believable. They were real.
Mm-hmm.
There weren't any quote unquote stupid mistakes.
I did have some problems with probably the first 40. Well, I would say the first half hour or so. Some scenes were a little bit choppy. I feel like the editing could have been a bit more tight in some places. It kind of felt like some scenes were switched around and really they shouldn't have been.
What do you mean?
Like, there's that scene where he gets a BB gun for his birthday, right?
Oh God,
And then-
we'll talk about that in a second.
Well, okay, well, yeah, he gets a BB gun for his birthday, and then you would expect the follow-up scene to be his dad, played by David Denman, hiding the gun away, but it's not. That scene doesn't come until like 10 or 15 or so minutes later, where you have the scene with the chickens. You know what I mean? It just didn't feel very linear in some spots. It just felt like
Okay.
some scenes should have taken place after the other, and
And just as a note, I don't think that gun was a BB gun. It looked like a rifle.
okay. Which, by the way, okay, real quick, his aunt and uncle are fucking stupid.
Okay, no, the aunt was pissed off that her husband went and did it. She entrusted him
Yeah.
with buying the present, and she chewed him out after they left.
You don't buy a kid his first gun without consulting the parents first.
Well, he did consult the parents, and the parents said no.
And he did it anyway, so the uncle was stupid, and he deserved what he got in the end.
I don't know
Go
if he
Brightburn.
deserved that.
Go Brightburn. He
Dying for being an idiot. No.
like
but,
I said, his jaw dropped.
oh gosh.
So anyway, out of 10, because I do have some problems with it, I would probably give it like a 7 out of 10. It was still
Okay.
good. I would love to see more sequels. I would love to see like a shared universe eventually. And I'm just glad that movies like this are still being made.
Yeah. I would give it an 8 out of 10. I didn't think that the linear disturbed me as much as it disturbed you.
Mm-hmm.
Also, bonus points for the amazing practical effects. And if they weren't practical effects, then that was some really damn good CGI.
Oh yeah.
Because usually I can tell the difference. So the fact that these were real people
Mm-hmm.
and they portrayed real people. Elizabeth Banks' mom
Mm-hmm.
met her. The dad met him. These are people that I have in archetypes seen.
They felt real.
Nature versus nurture. It's going back to that age-old question. How much can a good family lifestyle combat what your DNA says you're supposed to be, and
Mm-hmm.
how much of your DNA influences what you become?
Definitely. It touched upon some heavy themes, and it did it quite well.
Yes.
But again, guys, thank you so much for joining us in our discussion of Brightburn. We're excited to make more of these videos, like in the future. I think the next one we're probably going to see as a team is Ma, starring Octavia Spencer, even though I'm not really excited for that movie. But
As much as we love Octavia Spencer, as
But-
much as...
the people are clamoring that we talk about Ma. Thank you so much again, guys. If you liked this, you can go and subscribe to our channel. We will have
Don't
new
forget to
content
like.
weekly. Don't forget to like. And have a great night, boils and ghouls. We will see you later.